Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to tackle cancel culture. It's a term that, well, it certainly gets people talking.
It really does. And we've got some interesting material to look at it through today.
Yeah, exactly. We've got, first, a data analysis looking at Twitter sentiment back in 2021.
Hmm.
Then a news piece from just last October focusing on how this all spread around the P. Diddy situation.
Right. A very recent example.
And finally, there's this commentary from late 21 that kind of questions what being canceled even really means anymore.
Yeah, it pushes back a bit on the whole idea.
So our goal here is really to, cut through some of the noise, understand the mechanics, the impact, maybe even the, dare I say, profitability of it all.
It's a complex picture for sure.
And we know you want to get the insights quickly and clearly, so we'll aim to give you a really solid understanding without getting bogged down. Okay, ready to jump in?
Let's do it. So right off the bat, the tricky part is defining it. What is cancel culture?
That's the thing, isn't it? The Guardian piece from 21 basically says nobody agrees.
Exactly. It quotes, everybody has a different idea of what it means, which makes talking about it, well, difficult.
It's slippery. But then that 2024 news article, the one about P. Diddy's arrest, it gives us a more, I guess, practical view.
It does. It really points the finger at social media as the engine behind it all.
How so?
Well, it argues that these platforms, they've kind of erased the distance between celebrities and fans.
Ah, right, that constant access.
Exactly. And that leads to this expectation, this demand almost, for nonstop accountability, all playing out in public.
Okay, so that public demand, that connects to the data side of things, right? The 2021 thesis.
It does, yeah. That Bryant University study is fascinating. They use Twitter's API to grab just a ton of data.
How much are we talking?
Over 1.3 million tweets between February and September of 2021. A huge snapshot.
Wow. And what did they, do with all those tweets?
So they applied data science techniques, stuff like topic analysis to see what people are talking about within cancel culture and sentiment analysis.
To gauge the mood, like positive, negative.
Precisely. To get a feel for the overall emotional tone surrounding the term on Twitter back then. The whole point was to get a more objective look at how it worked online during that period.
And what was the takeaway? Sentiment-wise.
Well, interestingly, while tons of people were talking about cancel culture, the general feeling overwhelmingly negative.
Really? Negative how?
Like people expressing frustration or maybe cynicism about whether it actually achieves anything or if it's even fair.
So even in 2021, the online vibe wasn't exactly celebratory.
Okay.
So let's fast forward to that P. Diddy situation, October 2024. The news report mentioned his arrest for pretty serious behavior.
Horrifying and unacceptable behavior was the description used, yeah. And the fallout was immediate and widespread.
And it wasn't just about him, was it? That's what struck me.
No, absolutely not. That's where you really see this sort of guilt by association mechanism kick in. It expanded fast.
So other celebrities who'd just been seen with him, even way back.
Yep. Suddenly under the microscope. The article threw out names like Paris Hilton, J-Lo, Ashton Kutcher.
Leo DiCaprio, Jay-Z, and Beyonce. Usher, too, right?
Exactly. It became about anyone connected. However loosely or long ago, it shows how quickly the net can widen.
And people actually took action, didn't they? Like Usher deleting tweets.
Yeah, apparently something like 7,000 tweets vanished, which, sends a pretty clear signal of wanting distance.
And DiCaprio putting out a statement.
Basically saying his association was mainly from earlier in his career, trying to create space.
But even huge names like Beyonce and Jay-Z weren't immune.
No, the article mentions they face a lot of online criticism and speculation just because of past associations. It really demonstrates how potent that guilt by association can be in the current climate.
It's like your entire history is suddenly up for reevaluation.
Pretty much. And speaking of history, the article even mentioned that old clip of Rihanna resurfacing.
Oh, yeah, from 15 years ago. Talking about pressure from Jay-Z over a contract.
Exactly that. It just goes to show the internet doesn't forget, and old stuff can be pulled back into the spotlight very quickly when a related controversy flares up.
Man, that's intense. Okay, but then the 2021 Guardian piece throws a real curveball, doesn't it?
It really does.
Nah.
It suggests that getting canceled, well, it isn't always the end. Sometimes it might actually be good for business.
The profitable startup idea, it sounds counterintuitive, but...
But they make a case. Look at Dave Chappelle. Huge controversy over his Netflix specials, right? Employee walkouts.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then it comes out, Netflix paid him, over $20 million per special.
Wow.
And Chappelle himself joked about it. Man, I love being canceled, he said. It kind of flips the script.
So the outrage almost fuels the fame, or at least doesn't hurt the bank account.
That seems to be the argument for some cases. The Guardian also mentioned Louis C.K. getting a Grammy nod after everything.
Right, despite the past accusations.
And Marilyn Manson, still dealing with lawsuits, but, still present.
So it raises some pretty big ethical questions then.
Huge questions. Like, what message does it send when people accused of doing real harm still get awards, still get these massive platforms and paychecks?
Is it really cancellation if you end up with, as the article put it, glittering prizes?
Exactly. And it even floats the idea, could someone try to get canceled, strategically?
Yeah.
For the attention, for the profit?
That's a pretty cynical thought, but maybe not entirely impossible.
It definitely complicates things. It suggests cancel culture isn't this simple, straightforward tool for justice some might think it is.
Okay, but there's another layer here. The 2024 article brought up child stars, right? Using Justin Bieber as an example.
Yes, and that felt like a really important shift in focus. Bieber started so young, age 12.
And he's talked openly about how rough it was, the pressures, maybe exploitation.
Uh-huh. And he specifically mentioned being worried about Billie Eilish, wanting to protect younger artists coming up now.
So it connects the P. Diddy fallout to this bigger issue,
Yeah.
the vulnerability of kids in the entertainment world.
Precisely. It reminds us that behind the celebrity, there might be someone who entered that world incredibly young, possibly without much power or protection. It adds this whole other dimension to judging past actions or associations.
It really makes you pause, thinking about the power dynamics involved.
Definitely. So the article kind of leaves us with two big questions hanging in the air.
Which were?
First, will fans actually truly cut ties with stars they've liked for ages just because of these P. Diddy links? Or will it blow over?
The loyalty question.
And second, maybe more importantly, could this whole scandal actually force a real conversation about how young stars are treated in the industry?
Yeah.
Could it lead to actual change?
Those are really critical points to end on. Okay, so let's try and pull this all together.
It's a lot to unpack.
For sure. We started with the fact that cancel culture is hard to even define. That's the Guardian point from 21.
Right. Then the 2021 Twitter data showed us, okay, lots of talk online, but mostly negative feelings about it back then.
Then the P. Diddy case from 2024 showed how it plays out now that rapid spread, the guilt by association.
But then the profitable cancellation idea from the Guardian piece really complicates whether it's always a negative consequence.
Right, raising those ethical flags about who still gets rewarded.
And finally, the child star angle, brought up in the P. Diddy context, reminds us about vulnerability and the need to consider artists' early experiences.
So it's definitely not simple. It's messy, multi-layered.
Absolutely. Lots of different forces at play, different outcomes for different people. The sources really show it's a contested space.
So maybe a final thought to leave folks with. When you look at everything, the potential for profit, the blurry lines, the way associations work, you have to ask, right? Is cancel culture really functioning as a clear tool for social justice anymore?
Or has it become something else? Maybe more complex, maybe even, I don't know, exploitable in its own way.
Yeah, and what does that mean long term? For the public figures, but also for us, the audience, trying to make sense of it all.
Definitely something to chew on. It's not getting any simpler.
Indeed. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.